It's called a lance. Hello?
Welcome, everybody, to this podcast, which is still called a lance. I mean, the podcast is called It's Called a Lance. Let's not be confused here. It's Called a Lance is the podcast. A lance is just something you stab a guy with, assuming it's not a knife. Join me on this podcast here. It's Called a Lance. It's called Auntie Haunty.
Hello.
And also, it's called Austin Co-host.
Hello.
This, today, my friends, is an auspicious day. It is, well, it's two things. Number one, it's the season finale, and that's pretty good. But it's also the day when we unfortunately realized that we definitely should have linked our reading order up with the seasons. We definitely should have started this podcast in the fall.
Yeah,
that was a mistake.
Yeah, we're not perfect. Yeah, I would like to apologize to everybody who was hurt by this revelation. Personally, I am sorry.
We could have watched the Dragon Apocalypse in like real time, but no, I messed it up.
You did.
It was a group effort, William. We could have all made the choice, but we decided as a group to start it in the middle of spring.
I mean, I just went along with it because I'm accommodating like that. I'm a people pleaser. This being the last episode of the season, and by this season I mean like the first book. We have a little bit of business to do before we start actually book talking. The very first thing is, if you haven't already picked up your copy of the second book, you should start working on that now. We are going to have, as always, a link down below in the description. That's an affiliate link, so if you use it, we get like $1 or something. And that's a really good way to support the channel. It's not a lot, but you know, it does some stuff for us. And you will have the next two books along with the book we just read that you probably already own. But you'll have the next two books squared away in a lovely volume.
Yeah, you can buy the big volume one. We've also got links down there for like individual copies of the books, so that's possible too.
I really hope they come out with one of these like omnibuses for like Dragonlance Legends trilogy, like right when we're wrapping up this trilogy. That would be
way too convenient.
Yeah, the timing would be so good.
Yes, and then I'll never get to read Caiaphas Cain again.
Then the next thing on our agenda before we get into some Dragonlance is that there is a movie, of course, about this first book here. And we would like to watch it with you guys live. So we're going to be watching it live on the It's Called a Lance YouTube channel. So if you're listening to this on Spotify, you should go find us there. There's links in the description and everything. And we're going to be recording the watch-along on the 20th of June next month at 7 p.m. PST. If you're bad with time zones, just show up in the Discord and you will see a localized timestamp for when it is in your local time. It's a very bad movie, by the way, so this will be a lot of fun.
I was gonna say we're sorry first and foremost.
Soundtrack is pretty decent.
The soundtrack is decent. It's got Kiefer Sutherland as Raceland. How mad
it does.
It be?
It does.
It's got Lucy Lawless as Goldmoon. How mad can we be?
It's true.
Okay, less mad.
Who else does it have?
I don't remember. Those are the only two I remember.
Well, I mean, those are probably the big names.
Any orders of business before we get into some Dragonlancery?
I can't think of anything except to say no.
Okay.
Yeah,
Then
I got nothing.
Very last thing, very important, last order of business, purely professional. How are you guys?
I'm doing quite
Son of a
well.
bitch, that's my thing.
You know who else that movie has?
Who else?
Now I'm feeling even better. It has Phil Lamar as Riverwind. Phil Lamar as Riverwind.
Hell yeah.
It's got a weird amount of talent behind it, despite being really
Yeah.
bad. But yeah, it's one of those abandoned movies that you can watch on YouTube, and you have been able to watch it on YouTube forever. So we're not too afraid to stream it.
Yeah. And Michelle Trachtenberg as Tika.
I actually don't know her.
She played Buffy's little sister in Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh,
How
hell
could
yeah.
I forget?
Well, I don't know. Did you watch a lot of Buffy?
No.
Oh, see, there's your problem. Watch more Buffy.
Yes.
Is that even a thing I should still do in 2025?
Maybe this will help you. She was Penny in the Inspector Gadget movie.
Oh, I mean, I know Penny in Inspector Gadget, but I don't remember who played that actress. Watched that movie when I was like 7.
Yeah.
To answer the question of whether or not you should watch Buffy in Xander's a little problematic.
Well,
Fair
A
enough.
lot of problematic.
Maybe I don't shy from danger.
fair.
But to answer your actual question, I'm doing quite well. It's starting to get hot here in Canada.
As hot as it gets.
No, it gets ludicrously hot in a place where we're not supposed to get that hot, and we don't have AC in my house.
Everybody forgets axial tilt is a thing. We get real hot.
Yeah. I blame that thing that's definitely not happening. Wink.
You're right. The podcast is definitely not happening. Let me get started with this lore summary.
Yes.
The heroes continue their plan to break the prisoners out of Pax Tharkas. When they make contact with the children, they discover that the dragon, Flamestrike, aka Metaflor, was, if anything, undersold as to how much of a sweetheart she is, taking the role of grandmother over the children. A mishap with a dragon-slaying relic enrages her, but the band nonetheless escapes unharmed, for now.
Fizban casts Featherfall as he and Tass continue their escape, but Fizban's spell goes awry. Tass lands safely on a bed of feathers, while Fizban is presumed dead from the fall.
Tanis realizes with horror that Eben betrayed the party, leading the prisoners into a kill box where Pyros may kill them all. He takes the Everman and tries to escape with him, though they are both crushed by the gate's boulder mechanism before they make their escape. Verminard, riding on Pyros' back, cackles about how he will burn all the prisoners, even the children. A confused Metafleur, who nonetheless has the spirit, attacks Pyros to prevent him from killing her babies. Her babies. Verminard falls to the ground and fights a 1v4 tag team deathmatch with Tanis, Raceland, Caramon, and Sturm. A golden god appears in the heavens, forcing the Queen of Darkness to retreat for now, meaning Verminard can no longer spam hold person and other debuffs. When Goldmoon and Riverwind enter the fight, Verminard is slain. Far above, Metafleur uses the last of her strength to ram Pyros into a mountain, killing them both.
After the battle, the refugees find a secluded valley to hide in, and a wedding is held for Goldmoon and Riverwind. During the service, Barum, the Everman, is spotted, having somehow survived the boulders. Then, Tanis spots Elliston chatting up Lorana, and William's blood feud begins in earnest.
It sure does.
Okay.
It does, yeah.
It does.
This is the
We'll
moment
get to
where
him.
William is overcome with rage and speaks in third person for the rest of his life.
It's true. William does do that from now on, doesn't he?
Yeah,
He does,
William
yeah.
does. It is really, it's kind of a big issue. It's a thing that tests our friendship the most.
Well, sounds like a William problem.
Yeah. Jeez.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's get into these chapters. Chapter 14. Big
Oh my God.
dog number 1-4.
Chapter. What page is that in our book again? I want to roll back because I found it because I got my little highlights in
it's,
here.
342.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. I've got a different page number. Mine's
I'm
411.
going to be honest. This this book or this chapter is where like everything happens.
Yeah.
Almost
Yeah,
the
it goes so
entire
fucking
plot.
hard.
Yeah, almost the entire plot that we're discussing this time. It all happens in this chapter and a little bit in the next one.
Yep. Yeah. 100%. It's also where I cry a lot.
Yeah.
Honestly, Auntie Hunty, same.
Yeah.
So we get right off the start here. I know you were really mourning last week that we didn't get to Metaflor. Here she is
Yes.
in all her glory. Don't kill her off yet in your head. Let's talk about how great she is, as though
Oh,
we
she's
don't know
amazing.
what's coming.
She's the best. She's so
She
wonderful.
is a
And
sweet old grandma who chooses violence when it comes to protecting her children.
yes, yes.
And I respect that.
Yeah, it's very funny how even with magical dragon fear, everyone's like, oh, that one, though, that one's a sweetie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
It kind of just leads me to believe that they can just kind of turn the aura off.
I think so.
Probably. It's a mag effect.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know enough about the stat blocks of Dragonlance dragons
I
to
don't remember,
determine that.
do good aligned dragons have dragon fear?
Probably.
Yes,
Like, a dragon's
I
still
believe so.
Okay, in that
Dragon's
case, they
still a
can,
dragon.
in that case, they can certainly turn it on and off because they're not like going around scaring everybody when they're good aligned.
Yeah. Or I think the good dragons actually has something called like dragon awe. I have to look it up. Don't
Okay,
don't hold me to that. But
Yeah.
we're holding you to it.
dang it.
I'm on the AD&D wiki. I'm taking a quick look.
Okay. But I
Where
really,
there's a will, there is a Wikipedia for it.
That's true. I really like this chapter a lot. Not the least of which because it's about Metaflor, my favorite dragon in all of Dragonlance. But also just because like it's about Metaflor, my favorite dragon in all of Dragonlance. She's super consequential, like not just in a narrative way, but in a lore way too, right? Because she's supposed to be a red dragon. She's supposed to be a member of this presumably
Evil aligned.
aligned species of dragon. Yeah. And yet she is clearly very kind, very gentle. She's very concerned about the well-being of these little human children. And she's even to the point where it's not just about the children. She's very kind and gentle with with their caretakers, with their parents as well. Right. So either, it tells us that either the evil dragons, the chromatic dragons, are capable of being good or at the very least neutral, in which case their decisions to serve Takesis and the dragon armies and the forces of evil are ultimately personal decisions. Or it tells us that these creatures who are, at least in terms of old D&D wisdom, innately evil, like manifestations, are still capable of kindness, which is a very interesting, I think, sort of philosophical question for Dungeons and Dragons nerds everywhere.
Yeah. Which is one of the things I kind of liked about the edition I started in. And I started with Eberron, where alignment was kind of up to whatever the hell the GM is deciding that day. So you could have a good aligned lich, and that was always kind of fun to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it adds a lot
liches
of complexity to the lore. I think it... I can't remember if we were chatting about it on Discord or in the pod at some point, but Dragonlance definitely plays with the good and evil not, or like less as personally held alignments and more as sides of a conflict. And there are degrees of bastardry on both sides.
Yes. Exactly. I mean, the whole cataclysm is a response to that bastardry from the side of good. So yeah, it's definitely a thing, and I think that's always the lens that makes a lot of the lore decisions in Dragonlance make the most sense. But Modifleur is definitely one of the good ones, and always will be, I think.
Well, I mean, she doesn't live long enough to see herself become the villain, so, you know.
I mean, maybe she was
true.
just an absolute war crime with wings back in the day. So maybe this was a redemption arc?
Yeah,
Maybe,
she
but,
just finally chilled out when she got older.
I have a thing to say to that, but not until we get to one of the later chapters that we're discussing here.
Okay.
But that is addressed. We do see a glimpse into her past in the next couple chapters.
I like
remember,
it.
so.
I'm here for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
True.
Let us remind you.
So they accidentally scare Modifleur with
Yes.
Was it Tannis's sword that glows?
Yes, it's Tannis's magical sword that first started buzzing like a horde of
It's
locusts.
dragon sting. It's sting, but dragons instead of orcs.
Yes. So
And it actually it alerts them to your
sword.
presence, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it goes both ways. It alerts you to dragons, which you're not often going to get surprised, dragon.
Yeah.
But it also will alert the dragon to you, and that's a lot worse.
Yes, it makes besieging Smaug's cavern significantly harder.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. And but fortunately, they end up not having to fight her, which is good because Sturm certainly did not want to, because as he says, it would be like fighting someone's grandmother. Leading Tannis to say one of my favorite lines in the chapter is, "She's a deadly grandmother, Sturm. Just remember that." I'm like,
yeah, she's a grandmother who is a few tons and breathes very hot fire.
That's one of those lines we can post out of context to try and like make people not know what Dragonlance is about.
Yes, but even with Wormslayer doing its thing, and Flamestrike, Modifleur getting so cranky about it, honestly having more of a fear response than a rage response to the weapon. Seems she remembers it from the past. The children. This is where we finally meet someone we mentioned a couple episodes ago. This is where we finally meet Dougal.
Oh yeah, good old Doug, who I saw his name while skimming, and I was like, I don't remember Doug.
Yeah, Dougal. One of the children. He's the child, of course, who most aggressively defends this dragon, and all the other children are also, though, whining and crying and wailing, "Please don't hurt her," which really says a lot about her, right? When all of these innocent children are like, "No, you can't," even though she's a red dragon in the dragon army, and she must have been very good to those kids, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine being a kid who got to play with a nice dragon? I would love that thing for life.
Yeah.
And not just a nice dragon, but a nice, scary dragon, right? This isn't like some friendly, I'm so cool and majestic gold dragon, or this is silver dragon. This is a red dragon. This is like the quintessential scary, badass dragon. And it's your friend.
Yeah. It's just
Kids love that stuff.
I mean, I love that stuff. Dragons are rad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We even see, speaking of the kids defending her, when they start trying to, push the kids out, this is another thing about her. Like, she's like, no, don't fight my children, please. It's me you want, right? Like, she's even being self-sacrificing. Like, these are not necessarily the qualities that we would associate with evil.
With a red dragon.
Yeah.
Or
a red dragon, yeah.
Evil.
Although we might see some similar qualities manifesting in evil characters again pretty soon.
Oh, yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah, in a movie or
say.
something.
Yeah, maybe.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah. Not what I was referring to, but yes, we will see it in the movie.
Well, I assume that's what we're doing next.
Yes, Dragonlance knowers be knowing what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the movie will spoil a few things that should be revealed in book 2, but I don't think it's a big problem. If you'd rather not get spoiled on anything in book 2, just skip the stream. But yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, so does that apply to me too?
No.
Yes.
You have to be there.
No.
Mandatory.
Yes. you must.
We'll take away your bathroom privileges again.
Please no.
What I'm referring to, of course, is right here on the next page. Speaking of self-sacrifice, this is a good Raceland moment in this chapter. And again, a very artfully written Raceland moment, in my opinion. Did we expect Raceland to be capable of self-sacrifice?
Yes, everybody is. It's just everyone treats Raceland like, I don't know, he's a monster and he's done nothing bad yet.
Well, we've gotten we've gotten a self-sacrifice from Raceland before, but we saw it from his POV, so it didn't look like a self-sacrifice. Last time he self-sacrificed, it looked like him going, I'm gonna go hard here because I don't fucking lose. So that might be. I mean, this time we didn't see it from in his head. So was he meaning to self-sacrifice? Does he have his
I think so.
streak going on again where he's highly competitive? No. Who knows?
I don't think so. I mean, I think it's right. I know. I think it's right here in the text. Raceland self-sacrifices to save Sturm of all people. In the moment where Tanis is like going to try and hold back Flamestrike, knowing that she might attack him at any moment and that he will probably not live. And Sturm, being Sturm, is like, I'll stand with you, Tanis. I will fight with you. So surely, if Tanis is dying in that fight, Sturm is also dying, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Raceland steps in, though, and is like, get the hell out of here, Sturm. He says, like, leave us, knight. I will stay with Tanis, right? And Tanis and Sturm are like, what? And, Raceland is all like, your weapon is useless. I have better skills, blah, 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 blah. So Sturm is like, okay, fine. And then Tanis tells him to leave, and Sturm leaves. Sturm's life is now saved. And that's when Raceland says to Tanis, in a stage whisper, there's really nothing I can... He's like, there is little magic I can work against a red dragon. He's like, I just took Sturm's place, but I can't do anything either.
Yeah, magic missile's not going to help us.
Then he smiled the death of one who knows death is so near it is past fearing. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he literally, his only advantage that he brings that Sturm probably would not have brought is his cool head that allows him to create the distraction necessary for them both to get out of her. And he casts darkness, and that's it.
Now, do we think that this is a case of him wanting to save Sturm, or thinking he was the better option to protect Tanis?
I think it's him wanting to save Sturm and Tanis both. I think if he had not cared about saving Sturm, he would not have told Sturm to leave.
Maybe so.
I think he would have just dropped the darkness and been like, whatever. Because he always says, whenever him and Sturm are having a fight about anything, right? He's always like, and Sturm's like, well, what about you? He's always like, well, sure, whatever. You want to stick around and die, then stick around and die. I don't care. Like, you want to step off the path in the forest? Step off the path in the forest. You want to do this thing? Do the thing. I don't really care. But this time he's just like, get out of here. Leave.
Yeah, it is one of those
He never
things.
really leaves the option on the table.
Yeah, it is one of those things where Raceland still kind of actually cares about his friends, even when they're being dicks.
He cares about them in a way that doesn't require him to like them.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Is the easiest, you know.
Yeah, he's only in the friend group because his brother is there, but he's still he's still not going to let them drink and drive, right? You know.
Right.
Of course.
Exactly. And so they managed to escape.
Yeah. And then in the next scene, someone doesn't manage to escape.
True.
Old Mr. Fizzy casts Featherfall
Fizzband.
and then crunches.
Yeah.
He crunches to the floor.
Yes,
Poor beard
after
man.
only getting out the syllables feather. Yeah.
And unfortunately, Tass landed on feathers.
Yes, which was, again, I said this a few episodes ago, that every time Fizzband screws something up, he seems to screw it up in the way that best creates a solution that is needed, right?
Yeah.
He, right, with the fireball in the cage that allows them to get out, this with the feathers. Even, wasn't it Fizzband who was responsible for for sort of tempting the dragon into attacking them and releasing these chains that have been
Yes.
rolling through the walls all of this time, slowly but surely, and then eventually their dark work is done and the chains drop the boulders and do their thing. Yeah. He's either very lucky or very cunning. And I think in this case, we will find that even the crunchy Fizzband bits at the bottom of the floor are probably part of that trend.
Austin, this is your first time around the bend with Fizzban. He is a very famous kind of fundamental character in D&D fantasy. You have now seen beginning to end Fizzband. What you think?
Pour one out for a real one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed his character. I'm not going to lie. He was fun to read. I still stand by what I said in our previous episodes. Of, he is of a high intelligence, low wisdom kind of archetype, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And again, yeah, he was just a lot of fun.
Hell yeah.
And,
He is a lot of fun.
he died how he lived, not finishing reading out his spell list. It's, tragic.
You should have cast it one turn earlier. Unfortunate.
Yeah, it's why in more modern D&D settings, it's a reaction spell. So when you start falling, you just cast Featherfall, and
Yeah. I only hope that he did not land on the puffball when he hit the ground.
no, Puffball's fine. I
Right?
have literally
Puffball's
no
be
proof
fine.
of this. But I need a reason to keep carrying on throughout my days.
Yeah.
I have it from a good source, and that good source is Austin's hope that the puffball's fine.
Okay. Rest assured, dear readers, the puffball lives.
Or we riot.
Yes.
And in the next scene, we discover, and there's a brief, there's a little 2-paragraph thing where they're like, oh no, we've been betrayed. All of the prisoners have been lured out in the courtyard. And next paragraph, we know who it is.
Yes.
Which it was very well hidden. No one could have seen that it was Eben coming.
Yeah,
definitely not.
Who amongst us saw that coming?
Not a
Certainly
single one.
not I.
Raceland probably saw it coming.
Also, Haunty, I think I've picked up in this little section when Eben and Barum run off. I think this is why I think maybe this is why the both of us had the characters kind of merged in our heads, is because Barum kind of just like wasn't a character until he ran off with Eben and got crushed with Eben, and
they
Barum
kind of get smushed
out.
together.
Yeah, they get smushed together, so like it feels like Eben goes in, Barum comes out. That's the same guy.
Yeah, definitely. 2 go in, 1. Yeah, I think you're right there. They definitely have a moment. And it's pretty much all we see of Barum is him with Eben, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's
That's a
just
good
kind
point.
of not a character in this book, and because we associate him so strong with Eben here, just the memories that get left behind are like, yeah, that's just one character.
Yeah. Barum's just a dude who sighs periodically and in resignation.
Yep.
At everything.
And he's got some jewelry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do we? Speaking of Eben, let's linger a little bit longer on Eben.
Yeah.
Just give the man some respect. He's dead after all.
Allegedly.
How do we feel about Eben's self-assessment of himself? Right, that he was not after all cruel and vicious, and we get his whole little backstory here, right? Like in a couple paragraphs, like justifying his treachery and villainy and his allegiance, and the fact that apparently he and Pyros were bros, I guess.
He's pretty sure the Queen of Darkness is like proper looking out for him.
Yeah. He's like actually pretty faithful on that front.
I mean, he's a mercenary, so I kind of like, I get it. I get where he's coming from.
Yeah. It's just, I wonder, I wonder about this man because he kind of is cruel and vicious.
Yeah.
He strikes me as like he strikes me as like a slightly below average person morals wise, not horrendously. But he just kind of stumbles upon a cause that was an evil cause, but it was good to him, so he was loyal to it.
Yes. Well, and that's often in the context of Dragonlance too. Mercenaries in Dragonlance often are characterized as being of evil alignments commonly, or neutral alignments at best. So it's definitely, his culture as a mercenary would have lent itself to everything he's done thus far. But he's also just really unlucky, isn't he? Like, he's got really bad judgment because he says that he was determined for once to be on the winning side. And if his track record is always being on the losing side, then maybe he should have thought twice about throwing in with the side he felt inclined to throw in with yet again.
Again, it's what happens when you decide, hey, you know what? This guy with the name Verminard seems like a really cool, upstanding dude.
Yeah.
Literally in the name.
Yeah,
okay, but
definitely.
his judgment was held by the fact that his name is Eben. That's an evil name.
It is an evil name, yeah.
Yeah,
and his
like,
bro Pyros,
Pyros
who actually liked him.
Yeah.
When an evil dragon actually likes you need to do some self-reflection.
Yeah, they were just some scheme bros, honestly. Give me the spin-off. Give me the spin-off where it's just
Yes.
the buddy movie between those two.
Right?
Yeah, but I would watch that.
I too would watch that. It would be better than the Dragonlance movie we got.
At the very
can
least,
we talk to our animation team?
Yes. No. At a minimum, I want a scene of them enjoying drinks in hell. Like at some tavern in the abyss.
Okay, listeners, I need one of you to write a fan fiction about Eben and Pyros being buddy cops.
Buddy cops. Okay.
I would love
so
some
they're still
fan
evil.
art. Well, yeah, they're cops. I think that one might be too much
they'll
of a
just
political
conquer
hot
some
take.
cities. They'll just They'll conquer a city, and then they'll be the cops of that city.
Nice.
I mean,
Nice.
I'm just saying, cops would be about 30% cooler if they were riding around on dragons.
I
That's
mean,
true.
that's true of
Everyone would
all
be.
professions.
Literally,
Geologists
yes.
would be a lot cooler if they were geologists on dragons.
Well,
And,
geologists
we'll,
are
and we'll
just
get to the Knights of Solamnia
underrepresented
eventually. So
in their coolness. I'm throwing that out there.
Geologists,
Fucking
rock,
just
man.
little. Yeah, they lick rocks, and that's really cool.
jeez. But yes.
Well,
so
that's
now,
how you
so
kind
Barum,
of
though.
tell
Speaking
the
of
difference
rocks.
between some rocks. But I'm done talking about.
Speaking of rocks. No, we're not done talking about rocks. There's a rock in particular.
Oh, yes.
Barum's rock. The rock
Yes.
inside of Barum. Barum's
His-
rock.
right there. Yeah, in his chest. His chest rock. Chest rock. I don't know. That didn't sound right.
Yeah, it's a large emerald just embedded in his chest, and you know, it's there.
How did it get
I
there?
got
I
nothing.
wonder.
I have to wait until more comes out about it, but you know, I'm looking forward to learning about the dealio with the chest rock.
Yeah, so the
you
way
had to
this
make
ends up going is
predictions-
it's an Iron Man thing. He'll power a big iron suit.
Yes. No.
For some
do you have
reason,
any
Will, I
predictions,
don't
Austin?
believe you.
Do you have any predictions, Austin?
Honestly, his ability to appear out of nowhere after quote unquote dying leads me to believe it's going to be something to do with ancient prophecies and the gods returning. But that is like the lowest hanging fruits because kind of course it is.
I see. Well, we'll stick a pin in that. Write that one down, listeners. See if Austin's right. And give us your predictions if you aren't familiar with the stories anyway. No spoilers in the comments, but what do you think the gem's power might be and why it's relevant?
Yeah.
Let us know.
Absolutely. We want to hear theories.
So many
And as this scene continues, they spot that the boulder mechanism is coming down on them, and let me tell you, they were crushed.
Yeah.
I just have to say one thing: rocks fell and everyone died.
Yep. Rocks did. Wow. Yeah, actually, rocks did fall, and 2 people died.
Hey, they started a party of their own, a two-man band, if you will.
TPK.
Yes.
TPK.
Yes.
I'm just saying, the GM was tired of their shit.
Well, he had some NPCs that they had to get rid of, in a very convenient way, and this was a very convenient way to do it.
The GM said, "Hey, stop splitting the party. I need this all to go together," and they did not listen. And well, rocks fell.
No.
You
Rocks
think
fell.
Eben was a player character?
No, I
mean,
don't.
Will, in our campaigns that we play, one of us in our group almost always suddenly but inevitably betrays the rest of the party. So, it kind of just makes sense to me.
I will continue to naively say that doesn't happen until the next time it happens. Then I will be shocked Pikachu for one day, and then I will go back to saying, no, that never happens.
Yeah. It happens, honestly, too frequently. It's a problem.
Yeah.
Next scene.
Verminard.
Verminard.
the boy riding the other boy and doing a big old villain rant about how he's gonna burn everybody.
Yeah. I'm gonna
Wait, no,
kill
that's
the
not this
men.
paragraph.
I'm gonna kill the women. I'm gonna kill the children, the dogs, and the cats. Yeah.
And that's where we had to take him down.
Oh, never mind. This little bit here is where he talks about the battle plans and whether or not he's going to withdraw troops. Right. He doesn't go on his villain rant yet.
No.
And then he flies up in the air.
Yes. Without his saddle. Because he is confident that he will not need it.
Yeah. That's not foreshadowing or anything.
No. He has a lot of Verminard, you know what, for as briefly as he actually like appears in the books or in the book, he gets a lot of poetry actually. In terms of not poetry that he speaks, but like poetic moments, right? A lot of that classic like Greek hubris, pride before the fall kind of scenarios, but also some comeuppances and paybacks that I think are quite symmetrical with his own the things he does to other people.
It is very
pretty
true,
cool.
yeah.
Yes, he's a great villain. He only needs to be here for a short while, but he's maximally impactful.
Yeah, he's the classic fantasy first pit stop villain, and he plays it so well.
Yeah. Yep. It's a really good example, actually, of how like you can have a big looming villain in a Dungeons and Dragons or other role playing game scenario, and not need to be worried about the fact that the players will probably destroy them in the first encounter. You just don't put them in front of the players until you are ready for that final encounter, right?
Yeah, you put signs them all over, like the burned village, and everyone was like, oh, Verminard said kill all the prisoners.
Yeah. Visions of him, etc. But like, or spying on them. But in no situation, but you don't really put him against the players with swords in their hands until it's time to die. And it is time. It is time for Verminard to die.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what a great scene it is. Let's continue our timeline here.
Yes.
They're in the Thunderdome here, about to be crispy fried in the biggest convection oven. They say, it is useless, we're trapped like rats, and that's a direct quote from people who are currently trapped like rats.
Yes. ADHD just ate my brain.
Well, okay, I will continue then. And then Verminard comes up on a big old dragon, and he says, I'm going to kill all of you, not just the sand men and the sand women, but the sand children too.
Not the younglings.
He
Says
slaughtered them like animals.
No. But yeah, and he flies around with his mace, which apparently has a name, Nightbringer, another famous Dragonlance weapon. A very cool weapon.
I am permanently ruined on that mace by how bad that mace is represented in the movie. Just the sound effect. The sound effect they give it when it strikes is forever embedded in my memory.
Oh, why would you ruin that for me?
I haven't ruined it for you. You can picture the correct thing.
Yes. Yeah. Let's. And after he gives his little speech, where he, bellows this out, they are about to incinerate everyone in the courtyard. It was going to be a very tidy win for the forces of evil, except for a very deadly grandmother who emerges to save her children.
The John
she
Cena
loves so
music
much.
plays.
Yes. With the steel chair. No. And there she is in her senility, flying up. She just
In her
throws
bat.
herself right into Pyros. And this, of course, throws Verminard to the ground because he did not bring his saddle.
Yeah, which is why you always bring your saddle, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Or don't.
Yep.
I'm not your boss.
You could be the boss for once, Austin.
No, I don't want to be the boss.
Oh, okay. And just seeing Matafleur is also enough to sort of break the hold that the sort of the fog of war has over the people in the courtyard, right? Suddenly they're like, oh wait, that's right, we're trying to escape, not die here. And this gets rid of the dragons, pulls them out of the fight. So whether you're reading the book or playing the game, you don't need to ask yourself why Pyros didn't just kill everyone, because he's occupied now.
Yeah, he's a little tied up right now.
Oh, we lost. Oh, Will's back.
Hello?
We lost Will.
I'm
Hello.
back.
What was the last thing I said, Will?
That Verminard flew up over everyone, I think.
Yes, that I was talking a bit about Matafleur rose
that
up
was
and
the last thing, yeah.
yes, the very deadly grandmother threw herself into Pyros. Yes, and this kind of broke the hold that the fog of war had over all of the people in the courtyard. Shmishmishma, and threw Verminard to the ground, where he is now vulnerable because he didn't bring his saddle.
I like that we get the very unique shot from Verminard where we see the very first phase of the boss fight from his perspective.
Yeah.
And he just he's like, there's these 4 people closing in on me. I think it's undercut a little bit by the fact that when he hits them and when he casts individual abilities on them, it's like, and then he hits Caramon with this ability. It's like, I feel like I would have preferred to just be like the big guy. You hit the big guy with it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, like, yeah, not calling them out by name, just describing them.
Yeah, exactly. And then when we swap POVs to the heroes, as we do shortly after, then we get the assessment of like, Caramon's been held. But that's just
speaking of a heroic. Speaking of a heroic POV, your girl has a really great moment at this point in the chapter.
Let's not oversell it. She's not really my girl till book 2, but she's getting there.
Yeah. Well, I think she has a very pivotal moment then. Lorana has a very pivotal moment
She gets
here at the
her
end of
first
chapter
kill.
14. Yes, and not only that, but she I think we finally see she finally sees who she actually is. Right? It's not just a question of her maturing. It's like we actually see her like her warrior's heart and what that warrior's heart looks like. Some fighters are brutal savages or berserkers or honorable knights. Lorana is a cold, patient killer.
Cold as ice.
And very tactical. Like, she's just... The Draconian comes up to her. Like, even before the Draconian comes up to her, we see a human die in front of her. And her reaction is described as horrid fascination. Horrified, obviously. This was probably a good person who died. But also the fascination is in there. And then the Draconian reels up on her and she just stabs him. She just
Just like
cold
that.
stabs him.
And then her sword's stuck and she's just like, well, they say if I just wait, it'll come out. So I'll just wait.
Yeah.
Yeah. She doesn't even worry about what's going on around her. And then when she gets it, she takes another moment to like hold it up into the air and be like, yeah, I guess this is who I am now.
Yeah, I woke up this morning and today's the day I chose violence, and I'm here for that.
Indeed.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. What does it say here? Yeah, Lorana's spirit released from its prison of fear soared higher than the clouds. It's a very cool moment for her, and I think that this is probably the moment where most people probably decide that they like this character, right? Because she's kind of unlikable in a lot of capacities up until now. When we first meet her, she's obnoxious. And then even when she's kind of growing
story.
Yeah. And then when she's growing up till this moment, she's still kind of like when she's trying to be a hero, she's still kind of like naive and not annoying, or not, you're not going to hate her, but you might still not like her as a character, not in the way that people might like Tika or somebody.
Yeah, the last 3 or so chapters, or 2 or 3, she's been kind of at that point in her character arc where she's neutral, where she's just kind of been like, I have finally realized I'm out of my breath. I'm going to shut up and follow instructions. So, that's the neutral swing of the arc. And it's kind of all up from here for her.
Yes. Yes, it is. She is going to go and accomplish some really cool things, I bet.
That would be neat.
Yeah. She does seem like she's going to go do some pretty rad stuff.
Yes. And this, of course, brings us to Chapter 15. The Dragon High Lord Matofler's Children.
Indeed. It's very much just a direct continue. There's just kind of a chapter break, and we keep going from the exact same spot we were at.
Yeah, it kind of feels like the chapter break is only there because the chapter before it was super long, and they probably thought, we should probably put a chapter break in here.
Yeah.
Just to give the readers a rest if they want it.
I assume they did it for my sake. They knew I would be reading it in this kind of a format a million years ago, so,
Yeah. We also get a picture of, it gives us an opportunity to see this lovely rendering of Verminard's sick-ass Dragon High Lord helmet.
Oh,
yeah.
It's so nice.
Isn't it?
Really cool and super impractical.
Well, and they mention in the story that it's impractical.
Oh, yes, and I love that.
He's trying to catch his breath, and he's just like, shit, I can't breathe in this thing.
Let me come to the defense of the Dragon High Lord armor set, because it is my most favorite armor set in all of Dungeons & Dragons. Perhaps all of fantasy. It is impractical for the situation Verminard's hubris lands him in when he hits the ground. Yes.
True.
But for what it is designed to do, you need to think of it as a flight helmet. Right?
Yeah, but you still really want your peripheral visions.
No, you don't, because you are not flying a plane. You are in the air with a single weapon, only hitting things that are directly in front of you, because your dragon is worrying about the peripheral vision.
I think I'm on Haunty's side with this as well, because, if you're riding a dragon, you want to have, some big, dumb helmet with spikes on it so that everyone can see which one you are as the commander.
That too, yeah. And it's described as basically being there to insulate. The armor itself insulates the dragon riders against the cold of of being at that altitude.
Yeah.
Even the helmet is there to ensure that, they're still getting airflow. They're not overheating in the helmet. It's why it opens up like a mouth as it does, but also lower than their face so that they aren't inhaling nothing but cold air, right? It's allowing them to maintain some humidity. They actually put a lot of actual as much as one can with fantasy armor, technical thinking into the helmet. It is well designed for its purpose. Yeah. Especially because, again, the dragon rider is not steering the dragon.
Yeah, that is fair.
Yeah, definitely, by the end of this book, we definitely have the assumption that, Verminard is more of a guest on Pyros's back. When they're flying, Verminard is not piloting.
No, he is he's R2D2.
Of course not. Yeah, one of them is a dragon, the other is just a guy. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of just guys.
Verminard's not just a guy.
Medium level cleric.
Yeah, with multiple attacks per round, even he's a pretty good cleric.
Like we already kind of covered the fight to a bare bones degree, but this is where it actually happens. And man, that dude can drop the worst debuffs. Blindness. We're talking old person. Stuff sucks to go against.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just as his opening move is to rock the entire party.
Well, and he doesn't even have to cast a spell to blind you. He just has to hit you with his weapon.
And then say midnight.
Right, but like that's just charges, baby.
Yeah,
like he's
that's a free action, and I'm chill with free action.
That's some flavor.
Yeah.
It's the flavor text that you have to shout midnight. That's great.
Yeah, no, he is an 8th level cleric, my friends. He is a very impressive boy in a world where there are currently only 2 clerics.
Yep.
Yeah. It was not looking good for our party for a hot minute.
No. Let me just say this for a brief moment, just a quick aside. He does have a very good book in the Dragonlance series canon.
Oh, really?
He does have a very good book. Oh, yeah. Well, there was a whole series of Dragonlance books, perhaps we'll get to them someday, about the villains. The big core villains all got like their own books. So Verminard has a book.
Dope.
Kisanth Onyx from the Black Dragon has a book, which is a superb book, by the way, and the source of all my love for her. and several other villains that we'll see in future books who are even more impressive than either of them get books. It's very cool. In fact, Verminard's book is really neat because you actually get to see a lot of the development of Verminard and Pyros' relationship. And where they're, even though they hate each other, their sort of unspoken mutual, not respect, but acknowledgement of each other's value comes from, you know? It's a good book, so
that sounds
I recommend
good. I don't read enough villain books.
Yeah. And the cover art, oh my god. Big Daddy Verminard. Anyway.
Big Daddy Verminard.
Yes, I'll show you guys later.
Austin, what happens next after they begin losing to Verminard?
Well, oh god, I am bad with names right now.
It's up in the sky.
Yeah. Well, a giant combat in the sky happens between
Oh no, that happened before.
Yeah.
Even higher in the sky.
Yeah, the deity stuff happened. Of Meshakal appears in front of the Dark Queen.
It's actually not Meshakal.
Oh, no.
It is not.
Fuck.
This is another piece that makes me angry because I'm team like Gold Moon should be like leading the she should be High Cleric.
Yeah.
I'm also like Meshakal should be the prime deity of the Good Aligned Pantheon, but she's not. This is the actual head of the Pantheon.
Paladine. Draco Paladin.
Good old
Bahamut,
Paladin.
if you will. Don't say Bahamut unless you want to piss off a whole bunch of Dragonlance fans, by the way.
Yeah.
And when Paladin shows up in the sky, the Queen of Darkness withdraws. Not because she doesn't think she can take him, but just because the dude just appeared out of nowhere and she's like...
Yeah, she's not ready.
Yeah, I'm not ready.
Yeah.
I need a sec. And she...
It's not that I can't take him. It's not that I can't take him. It's that I'm not ready to take him.
Yep.
Yeah, it's, oh boy howdy, it came out of nowhere, and, you know...
And then poor Verminard, he is abandoned. Which is really one of those classic fantasy moments, isn't it? Like I feel like whenever you have a cleric or priest who is like a villain and they are like a servitor of a dark god, like this is a moment that happens often. Like,
yeah,
it's a trope, but it's so well delivered here. It's really good and satisfying.
Oh, yeah. I do wish he panicked a little bit more, but he does panic enough.
Yeah. His panic is he's focused entirely on just getting his helmet off, right?
Yeah.
Which is in a weird way, like, I think kind of correct. Like, this is how the human brain process, like he's dying, he knows death is coming. He's just trying to get his helmet off so that he can maybe fight a little bit better, maybe breathe. Like, he is in such a state of panic, he's no longer capable of thinking about like higher order things like mortality.
Yeah, it makes some sense. I guess I just missed
the
like,
animal brain.
I guess I just missed the like, no, what are you heroes? How did you get so powerful?
Yeah, I get where you're coming from, Will. On
but
that
see,
one.
this is the moment where he's where it's all reptile brain, though, right? He's reduced to instinct, to an animal. He's no longer in charge of the scenario.
It's very much the opposite of what I was saying of diminishing him in this moment when he's abandoned, rather than talking up the heroes. Which definitely isn't a wrong choice. I was just in the mood for our heroes to get praised.
Yeah. Well, this is actually, for me, this is one of those poetic moments because we've seen him blind, he blinds Caramon and I think one or two other people, and with Nightbringer. And then when he's finally brought low to his knees, it's because he himself cannot see.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right? Because of his helmet, his hubris, etc. So, like, there's a very, very nice, like, literary symmetry in there. It's, I think there's no other way he could have gone.
Yeah.
This is the death he deserved.
This is true. And when he goes down, we do get a good, like, cluster of rapid attacks from the whole team on him. Goldmoon gets in there. Riverwind gets in there. The final blow is, like, a Tannis and Sturm slice. It's pretty good. He just gets eviscerated, dismantled all at once.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then Modifleur throws Pyros into a mountain.
She
all Dragon Ball Z and
gas.
Mm-hmm. And this is where I cry. Because, of course, we do... was it this chapter where we get the flashback for her? Or was that chapter 14 where she flashes back to...
I think it's here.
To her children in the Third Dragon War.
No,
the one where she sees all her young children going off to fight in the war.
Yeah, it was before, for sure.
So this is why it's not a redemption. She's old, right? She was a MILF in the Dragon War with Huma. Yeah. And she was like, no, my babies, don't go off to war, my sons, please, no. And then, like, she only goes and fights in that war herself to save her children, which she, again, does here.
That was specifically near the end she was against her children flying off to war.
Yeah, well, because she had witnessed the Dragonlance, right? She had witnessed the power of the Dragonlances, and a bit of lore. This is a bit of contradictory lore for Dragonlance. It's established in the game materials, but then the books kind of undermine it, and so does in some ways the game system. But dragons in Dragonlance aren't supposed to be able to die.
Right.
The only thing that is supposed to be able to truly kill a dragon is, I think, either another dragon and the Dragonlance.
Right.
And so, like, it's supposed to be the thing that makes them confront mortality, and that's why it terrifies them so much. And so, if we kind of keep this as, like, a soft lore, right? She backs out of the war. She is essentially... perhaps a coward or perhaps simply intelligent enough to not get involved. she's the mother who doesn't want her babies to die. And now she's the grandmother who doesn't want somebody else's babies to die. It's interesting to me. I want to know who she was between these two moments. What was she doing with her life, and why did Takesis keep her around?
Why did she keep Matafleur around? Raise
she's
more
still
dragons?
a dragon.
Yeah, probably to raise more dragons for the dragon armies eventually. Yeah, that's actually, you know what?
Yeah.
She's like a dragon wet nurse. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know how many dragons are currently on Crid right now, but like, I yeah. What are we laughing about?
Nothing.
Because as far as I know, there's like less than a dozen of these jerks. So you kind of want to have every dragon you can get. Yeah, like, I mean, it's just called Dragonlance and Dragons of Autumn Twilight. There can't be a lot of dragons involved, right, guys?
Sure, yeah, why not?
Sure,
Right?
why not?
Right?
There certainly aren't so many that you couldn't kiss a girl and not risk kissing a dragon too. I mean, man.
There's not
That's me foreshadowing, by the way.
There's not a dragon-based flight sim game out there that is available.
And when they call the stuff that's going to be happening soon, when they call the armies the dragon armies, they're definitely referring to the people marching under the dragons, right? There's no way they'd have that many dragons.
No, definitely not. Couldn't be.
Yeah, they're marching under dragon banners. It's fine, guys. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so certainly not so many that like they could actually divide the dragon armies up into all 5 colors. Definitely not. There's certainly not a red dragon army and a blue dragon army and a green. That would be absurd, really.
That'd be too many dragons.
I know.
That would be so many dragons.
What DM balance to this game? Don't they know dragons are hard to kill?
My goodness.
Well, maybe if we have our own dragons, some kind of metallic dragons or something.
Oh, that's absurd. I don't even. No. If there were good dragons in Kryn, they would have gotten involved by now, right?
Certainly.
Yeah, I mean, as we all know, the only thing that can stop a dragon, a bad dragon with a dragon, is a good dragon with a dragon,
Yeah.
Or a very thirsty sorry, bad joke.
Okay, let's get started on the wedding.
Anyways, meanwhile, at the wedding... Oh, I do have one thing to indicate that this was not a traditional D&D party. There wasn't a 40-minute debate about looting Verminard. Because I'm just saying,
Maybe they time skipped it.
I want that mace.
No, that mace, you would not be able to hold that mace. Because this was how we did things in the old days. The armor is custom fit, so it will only give you penalties. The mace is an artifact of pure evil, so like you can't even wield it lest you risk your very soul.
I'd change my alignment for a mace that makes my enemies blind.
Well then.
I don't give a shit. For the armor, I thought about that. I thought long and hard about it. That is solid steel. That's good quality armor right there. We just melt it down.
It's actually not solid steel. It's Dragon High Lord armor is in D&D terms essentially the equivalent of it's closer to the equivalent of half plate than full plate. It's mostly quilting and but instead of a gambeson, it's like a body glove kind of of gambeson, and then some chain.
What Austin is asking is absolutely in the spirit of D&D. How many steel pieces can you melt it into?
Oh yeah, how many coins?
How much money can I make?
See, this is what I said. Once you make the coins steel, all of a sudden you're like, well,
yeah. Can I melt this armor down? Because you're right, if nobody else can wear it, I'm not going to be able to sell it a lot, except for to weirdo collectors. And honestly, anyone that's buying Lord Verminard's armor, probably a little sus.
See, I would like to think that that these good characters, capable of feeling compassion for a red dragon old grandma lady, even before they know that she's really an old grandma lady, would probably do like the Ewoks did and bury Verminard in his armor.
Yeah, but, like, they gotta eat, Adventuring doesn't pay well unless you sell the loot.
They got bows and arrows. In fact, they have more than enough food for a wedding.
They do a wedding smash
feast.
cut. They escape after the battle to a secluded valley where they can fight off any encroaching dragon armies.
Yes, so that they can have a party.
A wedding party.
Hell
in
yeah.
fact.
Yes.
I was a little
Who's getting
surprised. I
married?
didn't remember this scene, but it was a nice way to end it. Very Shakespearean comedy. You got to end it with a wedding.
Yes, indeed. Elliston is presiding, of course, over the wedding.
Yeah, because he can read the discs, the fucking asshole.
Again, you know, he took ranks in Decipher language. He's fine.
Yeah. I like that.
Seston, the Gully Dwarf, gets a moment to shine. It did matter that Tass saved him.
Yes, it did. I overlooked him because he's a Gully Dwarf. How did it? How did it matter?
It didn't super matter, but they were on the parapets, like defending the fortress of Pax Tharkus from the Draconians as they tried to take it back.
Yeah.
Yes, he was leading the. That's right.
bricks
He's
and
leading the
shit.
Gully Dwarves. Yeah, and sometimes each other. Yeah.
And each
Yep.
other because they're still Gully Dwarfs.
Yes. We get a nice big serving of Mormonism from Elliston here, from Tracy Hickman of Tracy Hickman's Mormon faith, which I do not say as a judgment. My whole father's side of my family is Mormon. I love them.
This is after way earlier in the book we got from we got the Gold Moon and Riverwind saving it for marriage thing.
Yes, and of course the golden discs, right, is a direct.
And, talking down to Caramon about those lustful thoughts toward Stika.
Mm-hmm. And
Hands
now,
off, boy, marriage.
Yes, and now the vows, as described in the discs of Mishakal, which they write themselves, of course, but the vows, because they're spoken before the gods, they last beyond death, which theologically was actually the entire reason. The Mormons that and universal salvation. But anyway, that's a big deal in the Mormon religion, is that there is no till death do us part. And they're just putting that right in here. So
yeah,
if you didn't know, listener, now you know.
I did like one little poetic lilt of how the vows kind of played off of each other, where Gold Moon's was like, even though there are such big things happening in this world, a wedding between the two of us can still be important. And then Riverwind's vows play off of that and say, well, in a world like this, a wedding between the two of us is actually more important.
Yeah.
I think they play off of each other well there.
They do, and I'm also really glad the interplay between them here finally reveals to us that Gold Moon is not perfect. She has flaws because she is not as good of a gift giver as Riverwind is.
Oh, yeah.
The ring she gives him is like melted down jewelry and her hair. Like, she's basically like, I am the gift, right? Yep. Whereas Riverwind is like, I'm going to forge this from this piece of wood from these trees where we set off on this whole glorious journey and finally found ourselves and found our friends who are now our family. And this ring will mean so, like, he is a better gift giver than Gold Moon.
Do you think she felt bad
down.
after, like, oh man, I didn't know we were going to go so hard on these things?
I mean, she was crying when she got that ring. I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't joy. It was like, oh no, I fucked up. Ooh, I gave him my hair? What?
What the hell? Just my hair?
To remember me when the ring he gave me is to remind me of us.
We get we get what is the first and nowhere near the last outing of the iconic Dragonlance girlies as the wedding party in this wedding.
Yes.
They will in future appear as a wedding party, but the Dragonlance girls are going to be a thing from now on.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Tika, Lorana. Lorana, of course, gets a very real moment where they didn't have to write this, but again, Wise's commitment to realism in the human heart. They're just like, Goldman was beautiful, but like when Lorana came by, everyone was like, damn, like,
damn,
like
guys,
Lorana
that's
like
an
kind
elf.
of outshone Goldmoon a little bit for a moment there, right?
I think it's kind of a fun point about Elven Beauty is that, like, they will always feel like the main character when they're around. They will always upstage you a little bit. And I think it's a good commitment to the bit to have it even in Goldmoon's wedding day. Lorana just being there is kind of a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is why, friends, don't invite elves to your wedding.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Don't wear white on another person's wedding, and also don't invite any fucking elves. The damn knife ears ruin every wedding.
Yeah. Bring dwarves along. They bring beauty.
But you know who you should invite to your wedding? Raceland, because he is aura farming the hell out of the men's procession.
Yeah, I mean, yes. Oh, yeah, no, he's a straight up bro. Bringing a
They've all got
magical staff
their
and
torches
shit.
and yeah. The fact that he's even there, honestly, like probably surprised a lot of people. And then he just shows up like that. My God.
I gotta get a mysterious, edgy sorcerer to walk with me in my wedding party one day.
Yes.
Will, I didn't want to tell you what I've been practicing while you weren't around, but you know.
Oh, he really is Team Raceland now. He's going to become an edgy sorcerer too.
Oh no.
I have been trying to get accepted
painting
into the
himself yellow
high tower
already.
of sorcery.
Oh. Damn.
Yeah, my submissions have not gone through.
Well, you need to be half charlatan before you go.
It's true.
But, fair.
And then we get a bunch of other little moments. You know, we get Raceland talking about how he doesn't really have any hope for the future.
Oh,
we get...
well, he doesn't say that he doesn't have any hope. He says that hope is useless.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I do think that he's being a bit dire in that conversation with Tanis that they have off to the side, but as is his way. But I think at the thrust of it is their conversation isn't so much like we're going to lose versus we're going to win, so much as Raceland is saying we have to go in with our eyes wide open and actually strategize. Because that's the only way we'll win. He's being a pragmatist, as always.
Yeah. We also get in this little collection of small moments. We get Tanis is a little annoyed because he's starting to feel a little bit better about Lorana. And now, who's she chatting with? Elliston. This fucking guy. This fucking
This
guy.
young man.
This
old
fucking
man.
human.
This old young man. Remember, he's younger than Tanis.
This moment is even funnier in the movie. I gotta hand it to the movie because, like, the heroes did all this shit, and then Elliston's like, I'm High Cleric now, and then, like, walks off into the sunset holding Tanis's girlfriend's hand. And just was like, what the fuck?
Spoilers. Thank you very much. I haven't watched the movie yet.
Well, it'll
We
be
also
a
get
moment.
Well, my favorite moment from the wedding is actually Caramon finally getting food. Because he's been complaining every time they have the opportunity to sit down and eat, he just complains for the most part, right?
It's never enough. The elves don't eat good food.
Food, right? Or it's
where's
weird
the
magic
meat?
food. Finally, and he's like, real food, when they bring him finally a huge platter of deer.
Then Flint says something, and
you gonna eat that? And
yeah. Oh boy, how
pours beer all over a dwarf.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and he dumped his ale all over Flint. Yeah.
Yeah. Not a rude gesture in dwarven culture, I would imagine.
No, it probably happens frequently.
Yeah.
Also, the fact that Flint helped Riverwind make that like super cool ring, or no, he made gold, or he helped.
He helped
Gold
Moon.
Never mind.
Yes, he helped
But
Gold Moon.
like, just the fact that he like helped like that, weirdly speaks better on him than it does on Gold Moon. You're just like, damn, you don't usually think of Flint as like a thoughtful, grandfatherly kind of guy, but sometimes he just quietly is.
Yeah, and I think we'll see that he becomes that even more so as time goes on, right? That's always been kind of his subtext in this book, was he's a little bit slower than everybody else. He needs to get pulled along by everybody else. He knows them. He's known them all since they were very young, but like, he is kind of grandfatherly vibes.
Absolutely. And another one in this collection of scenes, the Everman is here, and he steals a couple bites of food and disappears.
Yeah.
He's the Everman. He just shows up, drinks beer in the mountain range.
And then Irish goodbyes.
Just like every Everman would. And then I think that's kind of the last thing in the little scene collection, isn't it?
Tasselhoff gets his, because he's spying on Tanis and Raceland's conversation and kind of thinking to himself, and he remembers his speech with his talk with Fizban. And that's when mysteriously a chicken feather falls out of nowhere, as if to remind him of that interaction and his friendship with the dead wizard.
It's a good moment.
Yeah. And then we get a song.
We do get a song, and I admit my reading comprehension when we read songs and poems goes way the hell down. It's just like this vestigial remnant from my old that I like developed while reading Lord of the Rings as a teenager. Is like the song breaks start and my eyes glaze over.
Kinda, yeah. I definitely felt my eyes slide over the Song of Huma.
It's not the same as the beginning.
We even get called out for it. Yeah, no. But we Margaret Weiss calls us out for that reaction because I think she anticipated it. Where just before the Song of Huma starts, she says, "It is said that those who study it diligently will find hints to the future of the turning world." And it's like, okay, Auntie Wise, fine.
Read it. At
She
last
knows.
the eventual harbor, a temple so far to the east that it lay where the east was ending. There Paladine appeared. Okay.
Oil on the colorless dive of her wings.
So we basically get a 1, 2, 3, 3.5 page hint booklet for the next book.
Yeah, pretty much.
And
if you're a diligent reader, dear reader, we did do it.
You will know. But yeah, we did it. We have read Dragons of Autumn Twilight. Austin, big man, you're the one who did not read this up until now. Final closing thoughts. Where's the big man? Have I cut out?
Yeah.
No, I can hear you.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I do not know what happened there.
That's
All right. Well, this is the first time I finally finished reading a book in a long time. I'm terrible at reading. I'll be real here. I had a lot of fun, especially in those last couple of chapters. The action scene was just, I don't know, it did something for my lizard brain.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
It was a good action scene.
Yeah. Dragons fighting dragons is always going to be badass, and I need more of that in my life.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, overall, it was a rather enjoyable book for me. It sets a lot of stuff up, and I am, in fact, excited to get started on the next one. Hopefully after I finish recovering from being sick and having, like, a bit of a break, so I can read my other books.
Well, and we've been saying
this next one is my favorite.
But yeah, we've been saying it throughout, but like it's just kind of known in the community. The first book, pretty good, but book 2, that's where things really get going.
Yeah, because like coming in, I just from what you guys told me is like book 1 was okay, but I had a lot of fun reading it. For the most part, most of my reading sessions, I was looking forward to them. I even changed up my computer room to have a reading chair in it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You've affected his life.
Yeah, you've affected my life, you monsters.
Dragons of Autumn Twilight really is a good starter book for a lot of people in fantasy in general. That's its legacy, but that also means it's a good book for those who want to get back into the practice of reading.
Yeah, it's true.
It's very digestible. It carries you along very neatly. It's easy to pick up. Like, it's easy to put down if you need to, but it's also a book that you don't necessarily want to put down once you start reading. It's easy to get carried away as long as you have the time. But it doesn't punish you for putting it down.
Yeah,
right?
I'm like,
it's a good book.
On the side, I'm reading the Malazan books right now, which are like the opposite. And let me tell you, it's hard to read those books. I love them, but like they are some tough books. It's you actively have to fight those books to read them. And Dragonlance is the opposite. Dragonlance is nice and easy, and if you feel like reading, the words will just slide into your brain.
They will. And they'll stay there forever.
Give me your guys' final thoughts, and then I got another generic question to ask y'all.
Okay. I mean, that was my thought. It was interesting going back through because I feel like my memory was mostly correct, but like Will, I had a lot of moments where I'm like, oh, I had been completely misremembering this for years. And what's funny is as a gamer in her 40s, I'm in conversation a lot with other grognards, as we are sometimes called, and it revealed to me, I'm like, man, a lot of the arguments that we have online are based on entirely non-factual, incorrect information that has just been formed in mismemory, right? Like misremembered stuff. Yeah. It's crazy. It's wild.
Yeah. Yeah, for me,
I feel like it makes me want to reread things every few years.
I think it is important to like those foundational books. I think it's important to reread them every now and then.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, I mean, my opinion mostly holds that I had reread the first like 2/3 of this book like 6 years ago.
Right.
And I like kind of where I stopped was I felt like I was suffering a little bit through the tropes and feeling like, oh, we're so far from where I want to be. But then like doing this podcast and slowing down and appreciating the book for what it was and what it was doing. There was so much to enjoy in it. And when we got to that like third where I haven't read it since I was a teenager, that back third, it felt very fresh, very exciting. Fizzban still got it, you know? And I enjoyed it, and I'm excited to see everything that's next. I'm hoping I don't let myself down with my anticipation here, but I'm all
I don't
abuzz.
think you will.
This is what I was looking forward to when we started this project, was recovering those old memories, salvaging a few of them, and gaining some new ones.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And redeeming Tasselhoff.
And redeeming Tasselhoff.
Tass. Yeah,
Who doesn't
that
need any
poor
redeeming
boy.
because Tass has done nothing wrong. It's just
He has done nothing
problematic
wrong.
players.
exactly.
That and also people misremembering. Like they haven't read the book in 30 years, and so they have a child's memory of Tasselhoff as opposed to a more mature adult memory of the character.
Yep. Okay, so Austin, you said you had a question.
Yeah, just a generic question. Will, you already answered this, but hey, Em, are you reading any other books right now?
No.
Well,
I was.
fucking fair.
No. I used to be a voracious reader. I am also, like you, getting back into the habit. I was reading the Lloyd Alexander Prydain Chronicles for a while. I got about halfway through, and then life sapped my energy for reading. So I
get
think
that.
I will be
Too. I
picking
was
that
on-
up again.
I was on such a huge reading kick. I was racking up so many pages a day. And then major world events happened and my whole routine crashed.
Yes.
What? No, that
so I
doesn't
think I'll-
sound
Let's
right.
not discuss further, but you know.
Yeah. But I may well dive back into the Prydain Chronicles, perhaps even tonight, or, well, I'm going on a vacation in a few days for a week, so maybe I'll bring the book with me and do some reading on the airplane. I'll certainly have many hours
Hell
to do
yeah.
so.
Sounds enjoyable.
Yeah, especially the Prydain Chronicles. Oh, my gosh. Best fantasy out there.
Yeah,
I'm going to make you all read it.
Maybe one day. I'm restarting the laundry files, and I will crush out these ones.
The Black Cauldron, Austin. The Black Cauldron.
Yeah, but this one's Cthulhian horror mixed with office politics. It's hilarious.
So is the Black Cauldron.
I guess allow me to talk up Malazan a little bit then.
yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so Malazan, I heard someone describe it once as it's like a fantasy series with a crazy deep history where the majority of the characters are already level 20 D&D characters, but there's a lot of like level 50 plus characters running around, so you really got to watch out.
Nice.
And
Nice.
it's pretty wild because the book despises exposition. So things that are super commonplace in the world, you don't know until a character has a reason to talk about it, and they don't normally talk about things that they already know.
Right.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't like that, but like I understand it.
Yeah, it makes it a little hard to follow the world sometimes, but like you really feel like you're pulling this information out, like you earned it.
Are we talking like the kind of like lack of exposition where it's like stuff just doesn't get mentioned at all? Or are we talking the kind of fantasy exposition where like someone will say to a character like, oh, what did you have for Schlorblast? And the other person will be like, the usual. It was okay.
We're
and then like they
mostly
never talk
talking-
about it and you never know what Schlorblast was.
No, it's not so much that. It's more like that they'll like mention like, oh, hey, do you remember when this god did that? And everyone's like, yeah, I do remember that. And you're like, well, I wish that, I mean, that makes so much stuff that happened 3 books ago make a lot of sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I wish I had that, 3 books ago. My God.
It's usually pretty planned. It is carefully
Okay.
dictated when you get information. It doesn't just happen randomly.
Okay,
But
that's fair.
it's definitely, it's a book series where information feels like a currency to get through. It's a pretty tough read, but very rewarding.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't think I got anything else. You guys got anything else?
The movie.
got-
We're going to just remind everybody about the movie.
Yeah,
And,
subscribe
go-
on
go-
YouTube, get into the Discord, and you'll get all the information on when we're doing that stream.
Yep.
Yeah.
And pick up the book if you haven't already.
Please and thank you.
Yeah,
The next
My
book, I mean.
Canadian's showing.
and we will see you guys in 2 weeks for the stream, and then 2 weeks after that for the start of season 2.
When all of the thumbnails turn blue.
When the thumbnails turn blue. Damn, I got to make a new thumbnail set. Thanks for the...
Hell
actually.
yeah.
All right, well, until next time, you can drag on over to the...
These-
you can drag on these... I
On
don't know.
these-
Nuts over to the Discord.
You can drag on these nuts over to the Discord. Goodbye, everyone. I'm ending the recording.